Hello, it's me, TVR Zorro. You can call me Reese, you can call me, whatever you want, basically. I have not done one of these in years. So, I'm, I'm gonna be like, I don't even know what to do. But before I start, because you guys have read the title, you know what's happening. But before I start, I just want to say thank you for 500. It does mean a lot, and the fact that I've had this channel for it's about to be 9 years this year, I think. I've had this channel since August 19th, 2013. Yes, I remember the day I first started. I originally didn't even do rankings. Like that was barely even a thing back then. I did a bunch of gaming stuff, which I did under the name TVR Gaming, which I had for about, like, 2013, about 3 years. After TVR Gaming, I broke off into doing Zorro Promotions, which was not the origin of my stage name, but was the promotion channel that I did, where I promoted sort of smaller artists. You might recognize two of the names here. Vital Mode, who used to go under Mixer. He's releasing stuff on Bass Rush. He was part of that Disciple Mega collab. Like, he's gone a long way. And then 360 has had, I think, one or two collabs with Skybreak, who's one of the more popular names in melodic dubstep right now. So I'm really happy those people are getting the attention they deserve, because they are great artists. I'm not saying it was because of me, obviously, but it's just kind of a funny kind of coincidence that happened, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then after I did that for about a year and a half, end of 2017, that's when I started doing rankings. And then I started with everything in 2018. From that point up until now, I've had some long breaks here and there, but yeah, that's what it's been for the most part. So today I have 8 questions. I don't know if you can see all them. You can't see all those, but I have 8 questions from all of you that actually watch these videos, and I'm going to answer all of them to the best of my ability. And like I said, I haven't done one of these since like 2019, so let's start off with the first question. First question is, what's your favorite part? Oh, I should say, hold on. From IPG. This question comes from IPG. What's your favorite part of making music production, vocals, etc.? Any favorite track you hold close to your heart? That's a really good question. I used to... There was a point in time where I thought I was, like, the best music producer ever, and so I would just kind of make tunes and then realize, wow, my skills are awful. But during that era, there is a track that I do kind of hold close to my heart, and that is Different Perspective. This came out in 2016. I would have been 15 at the time. So I wrote the lyrics for Different Perspective, and I think to this day, the main hook, the line that I wrote, is probably one of my favorite lines I've ever written. And if you've never heard the song before, if you've never heard the VIP that came out later that year, it went like, you don't have to be a detective to see things from a different perspective. And listening to it now, I'm just like, maybe that's kind of dumb and simple. But I wrote that at 15, so I was pretty proud of that. And that's still one of my favorite lines I've written. Another one, a more modern track that I've made, is All This Time, which came out in 2018. I doubt most of the modern fans have heard that one yet, but that's when I started. That was my first year into rankings, and I made that song. Even now, it still gets to me. I love how I just love the sound of it. It's pretty much like organs on top of synths, on top of a saxophone, on top of just this really kind of flow trap beat of sorts. It's quite a song. My favorite part of production would probably have to be just coming up with the idea. It's a lot of fun coming up with the ideas and just expanding on them. As of late, I've had, I'll admit, I've had kind of a dry spell. Might have been apparent with Fantasy, which is the new album I came out with last month, a month ago. In terms of production vocals, those are all kind of, like, of course I like doing them, and they're important parts of making music, but, I focus on the idea more than the production than anything else, because I feel like if you are not that great of a producer and you have an idea that you think is really great, then with that idea you can put it out there and you can have others inspired by it so that they can make something better out of it. Does that make sense? So that way you're not doing everything on your own. You're basically giving the better people better ideas, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's my answer to that. So thank you, IPG, for that question. Next one comes from Toki Toyosaki. Did I say that right? Toki Toyosaki. How did you find Monster Cat, and what year do you think is their best year in terms of music quality? 2015. I'm always going to say this, and I mention this all the time in the description of the rankings. Back in February, I think, I wrapped up all the 2015 stuff. Or maybe it was March. But yeah, 2015 I think, is their best year. I think both quality and consistency, 2015 is their best year. Years like 2018 and hell, even 2021, I think all those years come close, even though 2021 wasn't really as consistent, and there were still a lot of good songs that came out last year. And the way I found Monster Cat was, it's actually kind of a weird story. So, I would have been 14 at the time, I think. 14 or 13. Or no, 2014, I would have been 13. Of course, before then, there's all the popular songs that I was exposed to, like Disconnected and Flight, Self-Destruct, all those popular ones. I didn't know it was like part of Monster Cat. I didn't know what Monster Cat was. When I was 13, I had like a gum infection on my right jaw here, and it was like really puffed up. It was hard for me to kind of close my mouth, and because the gum would be in the way of the jaw and the teeth, so I couldn't close it down. It was difficult to eat, so we went to the urgent care. On the way there, and I remember this vividly, I pulled out my phone, and I think the third or fourth search result that came up on my recommended was Emergency by Pegboard Nerds. And I clicked on it, and I listened to it, and I was like, wow, I love this song. So I look at the channel, which was just known as Monster Cat at the time. This was way before the Uncaged Instinct split, and even before the Silk. Yeah, everything was all under one channel. I was looking through it, and I was like, wow, look at all these different like colors and songs. Obviously my jaw is fine, if you couldn't tell. Yeah, but yeah, that's the origin of how I found Monster Cat back in 2014. And I think it was the day Emergency came out, October something. I think it was October. I want to say October 13th was the day it came out. I'm not so sure. You know what? Actually, let me look it up real quick. Oh, I was right. October 13th, 2014. Well, how about that? So yeah, thank you, Toki. But yeah, that is how I found Monster Cat and what I think their best year is. 2015, to be short. Too lazy didn't read. Alright, next one's from my boy. This one's a long-time fan. He's been a fan since like I first started, I think. John. My boy John. I remember when you had the profile pic, it was just a purple circle and the letter J. I remember that really well. What are your top 3 songs outside of Monster Cat? Outside of Monster Cat? Not EDM Count to. That's one I'd have to ponder a long time for, because believe it or not, I do listen to stuff outside of Monster Cat. I know, shocking. I go by a lot of young stuff I listened to when I was younger. Like, the main artist I listened to when I was younger was, I listened to a lot of Coldplay, Avril Lavigne, Foo Fighters. So I'm gonna do one from each artist of those ones that I picked. So for Coldplay, my favorite song from them has always been Warning Sign. I love that song. It's from a great album too, one of their best, Rush of Blood to the Head. The second slot's gonna go to I Love You by Avril Lavigne, because that song just really hits me in the heart every time. It really shouldn't, because of how basic of a song. The title of the song is I Love You. It's not a very complex song to figure out what it's about. The way it's done, and just the way she sings it, and the instrumentals in the background, and the piano, it gets me every time, and I hate it. So, I Love You by Avril Lavigne, Coldplay's Warning Sign. And then for Foo Fighters, I'm gonna have to go with Arrows. Came out in 2017, I think, which was my least favorite year in music. But one good thing that came out of that year was Concrete and Gold, which was an album released by Foo Fighters. And there's a song on there called Arrows, which I think is their most underrated song ever. And it's not like complex or innovative or anything, but I just love the way it was made. I love the production of it, the guitars. There's also a song on there that's really popular, but I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember how it goes, but I know there's one that's like really popular on there. But yeah, Arrows is my pick for that. So yeah, those are my picks. Warning Sign by Coldplay, I Love You by Avril Lavigne, and Arrows by Foo Fighters. I recommend you check out not only all 3 of those songs, but all of those albums that those are from, because the Avril album especially helped me get through a lot of 2020. And I actually wanted to do a ranking on it, but I knew if I did that, it would be taken down immediately, so not gonna do that. Next question comes from Ecstasy, I believe that's pronounced Ecstasy 7410. What kinds of genres artists do you listen to outside of EDM? Well, I just named a few just now, but sometimes I hang out with my grandparents, and so I listen to a bunch of stuff that they have on their radio. They listen to the Bridge FM, if you know what that is. It's like a radio station full of older artists, from their time, just like popular music that they grew up with. So I've been listening to stuff like Carly Simon and Dan Steele. Honestly, not a whole lot. Like, I would love to if I really enjoyed it. And of course you could say, oh, well, how do you know you enjoy it if you haven't listened to it? And to that I say, a good point. I don't know, EDM is my space. EDM is kind of it's my ground. It's what I know. It's what I know I enjoy for the most part. Just stuff like country and rap, they've never really done that much for me, unless it was in electronic music. Cause I'm gonna go off on a tangent, because this is something that I've had in my head for a long time. I think electronic music is absolutely the most creative music genre on the planet. And I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you why. So with other genres of music, you've got instruments like guitars, pianos, drums, synthesizers, strings, woodwinds, all that stuff. With electronic music, you can make pretty much any sound you want. Any sound you desire, any sound that you think sounds good, you can make it. A lot of pop songs have since converted to being more electronic oriented, and it could sound really great or really awful. That's up to you. As long as you know what you're making, as long as you do your research, as long as you do everything in your power to make sure that song that you make is really good, You can do anything. You can't really say the same for most others. That's why a lot of other genres sound the same, because they use the same stuff. Country, a lot of country people think they sound the same. Rap, a lot of people rap sounds the same. And you can make the argument that EDM sounds the same too, which I completely understand, because artists like to ruin the image of EDM. You can always attack the bigger names. Marshmello, Dylan Francis, Don Diablo, Martin Garrix. I think there should just be more creative electronic stuff we should do, which has been happening as of recent with the introduction of like color bass and like all these different, genres. Polyrhythm back in 2020, I think it was, when Phonon made that. That's my take. You're free to agree or disagree, but I legitimately think electronic music is the most creative outlet for music ever. Next question comes from the Real Microphobias. His question says, your favorite melodic dubstep track so far? Melodic dubstep? Melodic dubstep. Now, here's the thing. Melodic dubstep can mean many things. And I know what you mean by it, of course. You mean like the generic, like, Ophelia crap. I'll be honest. Meldub is one of my least favorite genres. That might be why you asked the question. Like, if I could think of one right now, which I can't. My favorite Meldub track of all time? I'm really blanking here. Oh, you know what? One song that does come to mind, Way Down by AU5 and Amity, featuring Kara. I like that song a lot. That's probably one of my favorite AU5 songs, and I think it's one of the most underrated AU5 songs. Next question comes from Zapping Hero, another longtime fan. I've known you for a long time. What is your favorite color? Or what are your top favorite colors? Interesting question. So, thank you for the variety in questions. I like my favorite colors. Obviously, if you've ever looked at the channel before, black and white are a huge aesthetic for me. I love black and white aesthetic stuff. So recently I've been doing Karma Fields, their albums and EPs. Those artworks and the art style of their stuff is very black and white, and I love that art style. Blue is always going to be my favorite color, specifically cobalt. I love the color cobalt. It's a great blue. It's kind of like a mix of dry blue with like a mixture of navy and sky, if that makes sense. I'll put it up on the screen to make more sense of it, but yeah, that's the color blue I'm talking about. Next up is from Avid Human. What DAW do you use? I use Mixcraft, Mixcraft 9 specifically. It's like the perfect one to start out making music with. And by now I should have branched off to something like Ableton or FL. It's just the way I make music. I'm not trying to be a professional producer. I'm just, again, like I said earlier, I'm just trying to put ideas out there for people to make better use out of, if that makes sense. Last question of the day, and this comes from B_T. Best and worst song on Monster Cat. Oh my god. Y'all are really asking the hard questions. I think my favorite song on the label will always be The Divide by 7 Minutes Dead. I don't know if there's a song I like truly despise. There's songs that I hate with a passion, like both of Slushy songs last year, All I Need VIP and the Turn It Up. I don't like those. But to say they're worst on the label, oh, there's my doggy, Pepper. Come on. Hi. Come on, Pepper, come on. Hey, come on. Come on. Hey, look, it's my dog. Baby, look, it's the camera. Look, the camera. Alright. Which song? I really don't know. I don't even know if I have a least favorite song on the label as of right now. I think I'm still kind of going through all that. I haven't even reached the 2017 stuff yet. I'm almost there. But, oh boy. It's just, I don't even know. But yeah, that's the list. That's all the questions I was asked. Honestly, I just want to say it again. Thank you all for 500. It really does mean a lot to me. You know, I just like giving my take. I love seeing the more logical side of EDM. I love exploring sort of why certain sounds are in certain different places. I like, just kind of figuring out the cognitive behind each song, each EP, each album, each compilation, especially kind of exploring the artist, if that makes sense. I like kind of going into their psyche and just figuring out why they did this. Most of the time I won't be able to figure out what it is, ELE, but it's still fun nonetheless to figure out what the hell is going on in their brain. It's time for me to go for the day. So thank you all once again, and I will see you later.